Hey folks, Jerome Forestwood here. It's 2:43 p.m. on March 25th, 2023 in downtown Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. It is 8 degrees outside on a cloudy afternoon in the city. In this video, I walked for 2.3 kilometers, starting by the Transit bus stop at West Hastings and Granville, then strolled northwest on West Hastings and Pender, southwest on Burrard, and then northwest on Robson, ending my trek by the Braca Bakery and Cafe at 821 Denman Street. If you would like to support the channel and help me purchase some new equipment, click the heart icon to send me a super thanks. To receive updates, follow me on Instagram at Forestwood. And if you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button, share it, and subscribe. They're protesting for the Khalistan movement and freedom in Punjab and a separation from India, and that's where the consulate is for India. Hey folks, Jerome Forestwood here. We're going to do a narrated video. There's just a group of protesters out front of the Indian embassy, of course, or consulate, whatever you call it over here. Of course, this isn't the nation's capital. This is just the edge of Western Canada and the West Coast. And there's been diaspora from the Khalistan diaspora that have been protesting. For whatever reason they need to protest. And it's nice to see they have the freedom to protest. They're down here today doing their thing, like they've been doing regularly every Saturday. So that's just me telling you what's happening. Other than that, I'm going to go up Hornby Street here. Not really into the protest, just telling you what I'm saying. One of the people next to me just asked me, hey, what's this about? So I was telling them. It's a rather peaceful group of people. But anyways, we're currently on Hornby Street right now. And we're passing one of the Tim Hortons, one of the few Tim Hortons that's here in downtown Vancouver. So if you're someone that needs to get their Timmies fixed, at the intersection of Hornby and West Pender, there's a giant Tim Hortons. And you can come on down here and you can get your fix. I myself am going to turn here on West Pender and walk down West Pender. So that I can get over to Burrard.
And by association, I can't.
It, of course, is 3:01 p.m. on Saturday, March the 25th, and it's 7 degrees outside. And it's going to be partly cloudy for the rest of the day. So there'll be clouds in the sky, but occasionally there'll be sunny breaks. Let's see if that happens right now. Still waiting for the clouds to dissipate a little bit more, but we'll probably be able to see a little bit of sun in an hour. Of course, I'll be done this video before then. But thanks for coming along, and we'll head up Burrard Street. First, we're going to cross it though, walking on West Pender. There's the Vancouver harbor front. Wow, that Costco shipping boat's huge. You might not be able to see that unless you got some really good eyes. But there's a really large boat in the harbor, which isn't unusual for Vancouver, of course. So, like I said before, that's the intersection of West Pender and Burrard Street. And we'll walk up here. And we're going to walk along Burrard Street for a little bit. I just got my text from Bay, and Bay is almost done in the West End. So he asked me to head on down there so I can meet up with him. We're passing the Joy Bental. And for those of you who are familiar with CF Toronto Eaton Centre in Toronto, of course, you can see it's the same chain as Joey's Eaton. And some new artwork here by Junko Playtime. Came down to do an arts installation over here at the 555 Burrard Street, which is the WeWork building. And then he did a surprise piece of artwork underneath the North Granville Bridge, or North Grandview Highway and Sky Bridge for the SkyTrain that runs over top of Commercial Drive. So at some point in time I want to get over there because they're going to take down this giant realistic spider that he put down there. That was made out of, I believe, car parts as well. It's always fun to see different types of graffiti, of course. Graffiti sculpture is quite interesting. Another thing that's popular over here that's not your standard graffiti is knitting graffiti. And you can see that when I'm walking down the BC Parkway in my Trout Lake video from Nanaimo Station to Trout Lake Park. And that's in the back catalog, so feel free to look it up. I've seen some of the local community policing. And we'll continue on Burrard here. Crossing Melville Street. And we'll continue on Burrard. Passing the Royal Centre and the Hyatt Regency. Nice to see a cautious driver there waiting for me to cross. We're at the intersection of West Georgia and Burrard Street, or Burrard and West Georgia. Walking past the local Hermes store and Tiffany store. And of course you can see Cartier in front of us, and Louis Vuitton is on the other side, just to let you know. And that's because we're at Alberni Street, which is our high-end retail street here. So if you're looking for that stuff, that's this is where you'd want to come. This is the intersection of Alberni and Burrard. There's the Louis Vuitton store across the street. And we can cross. They're going to cross Alberni Street. And continue on Burrard. Of course, there's other stores here as well, like Coach and Wolford. And then it gets a little less high-end and more reasonably priced stores as we get closer to Robson Street here. Passing by the local root store. And we're coming up to the intersection of Burrard and Robson. And we'll cross Robson Street here. And then we'll head to the West End along Robson. So we're now on Robson Street. And because we've crossed Burrard, we've now left the downtown and we've moved into the West End. This, of course, would be the Upper West End. And this is the popular shopping strip in the area. See stores like Lush and Inspired Cannabis. There's an Indigo Books across the street. Club Monaco's coming up. After that, there'll be a Zara. So it's those types of stores. Just good quality, fairly affordable clothing. But you're not necessarily going to find a deal down here if you're looking for something a little more cheap if you're working on a budget, or less costly. But what you buy down here usually has good quality and lasts fairly long. Passing the local Herschel Supply Company store. And we're approaching Thurlow. And at the intersection of Thurlow, of course, is the Banana Republic, Artisia, Camper, and a Starbucks. And we'll stop at the intersection of Robson and Thurlow. And there you can see it. Guy just went past on a bike, holding his phone. Looks like he was making a short, whether it be for TikTok or Instagram or YouTube. Very cool. There, of course, is one of the local Starbucks. So if you need to get your Starbucks fixed, that's where you'd head. I'm going to, of course, continue down this street. And I'm going to meet Bay over at the local Brecca Bakery on Denman. So I'll end the video at the bus stop just outside of the Brecca Bakery, just so you have a point of reference if you need to look at a map. When you go on Google Maps, of course, all the bus stops are going to be located with a blue icon, a blue square icon that has rounded edges and a bus logo. And you can click on that within Google Maps, and that'll show you when the bus is going to arrive. And if there's any delays, every 30 seconds to a minute, they update those times because there's GPSs located on the buses. And that helps Vancouverites understand why or why not their bus is showing up or isn't showing up. And that's really helpful because Vancouver was one of the first cities to partner with Google to do things like that. And if I was to compare it to Toronto, it's much more handy than when I click on a bus stop in Toronto and then I don't have any bus show up 3 times in a row before and 20 to 30 minutes later a TTC bus shows up when it should have shown up within 2 to 5 minutes. So something I'm sure Toronto's working on and they'll improve. But those things take time. I understand Toronto. It's okay. Across the street we have London Drugs. And that's a Western version. That's a cross between a Walmart and a Shoppers Drug Mart, or a Walmart and a Walgreens. You can get everything in there from going into the pharmacy to pick up your prescription to getting your keys cut or even picking up a computer. Very diverse what you can purchase there. This, of course, is Butte Street. This is one of the streets that come to see cherry trees right now as they're blossoming. They've just started. One of the good barometers for cherry trees in the city is the Burrard SkyTrain station. And the cherry trees down there are just ready to open. And they're probably going to open in the next day or 2. So that's when the cherry trees will probably get pretty big over there and be nice and pretty. But there's been a lot of nice cherry tree sightings on Butte and Thurlow within the residential section, as well as Nicola. So if you are looking for cherry trees right now blossoming, Nicola is one of them. Or if you're willing to go all the way to the west side and over to Kitsilano, Cypress Street. Oh my goodness gracious. Just walk down Cypress Street from 4th Ave. So many cherry trees blossoming right now. And of course you can see shots of the cherry trees in a short video released by Life in Canada by Lucy. And she caught several good shots of blossoming cherry trees. And it's not that long, it's about 5-10 minutes, so you can watch that and enjoy the cherry trees. Good job, Lucy. And thank you for doing that. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Lucy's one of the other walktubers that's on the scene here. She's been doing it for a whole lot longer than I have. And it's good to learn from watching her videos. So we're at the intersection of Jervis and Robson. Oh, our turn. So we'll cross. This section gets a little more residential. There's a few nice restaurants along this strip. And of course the Barclay Hotel as well. And the Listel Hotel. And if you keep your eye up, you can see the Greenbrier across the street, as well as the Tropicana Suites Hotel. And all of these hotels are down here because you're really close to Stanley Park now. And in fact, all you have to do is go down the street here, and eventually you'll be over at Stanley Park. Passing the Den, which is an arcade and drinkery. And there's also Cora. And people in Montreal and Toronto who are watchers of this channel are most likely familiar with Cora. It was unfortunate to see the Cora close down on Gerrard Street, but businesses don't always survive. So fair enough. I'm sure something better, we'll be moving into that if it hasn't already. This is Brighton Street here. And we'll cross. And of course, we'll continue on Robson Street here. Unlike in Toronto, where Ken from the Ken Continuum says no major street goes unimpeded with scaffolding. As you've seen, we didn't need any scaffolding until now. That's because buildings are built slower over here. It takes a long time in Vancouver to get a permit. The city is working on improving that process. And since I've been vacationing here off and on for the past 20 years, and now moving here, I've seen an increase in buildings after the new building permits getting passed, after the new ABC party came into control. But we'll see if that carries on or not, or if that's just a good start. I'm sure they'll make a few mistakes as they move along. And we're crossing Nicholas Street now. Oh, no, we're going to wait because it just turned yellow. Nicholas Street is one of the streets that has a lot of cherry trees on it, but not on this section. You got to go over to Davie Street, which would be in that direction there to get over to the nice section of cherry trees. I could show that in one of my videos where I walk down Burnaby Street, so you can look at it in the back catalog to find that one. Filmed it fairly recently. Oh, it's our turn. So we'll cross Nicholas Street, continue on Robson Street here. We are now down into the south end of the West End. And this is where you have the popular restaurants and bars and cafes, as well as a few stores and services as well, that connect on Robson, Denman, and a little bit of Davie Street as well. There's a lot of Korean and Chinese restaurants and Vietnamese restaurants on this part of Robson Street. And I can tell you most of them I've tried, and most of them are very, very good. If you've had banh mi from Toronto, Toronto's banh mi is on point. It's really good. But the banh mi over here in the West End, it's just off the hook. They're doing something extra, and that extra keeps me coming back. Passing the Robson Public Market. It's one of several different public markets that's in the area. And it's just a model of an Asian-focused mall with vendors that can rent on the ground floor, and then restaurants that rent either on the ground floor or the second floor where there's a food court. This one isn't as frequented as often as other public markets, whether that be the Richmond Public Market or the public market that's in the Crystal Mall in Burnaby. If I was to go to a public market, that's probably where I'd go, one of those two. The Granville Island is also called the public market, but that's more of a Caucasian-focused market. You can, of course, find Pan-Asian ingredients in all of these public markets. Here's Viet Sub right here. Viet Sub is one of those banh mi restaurants that I say just does it extra. They do a really, really good lemongrass barbecue chicken banh mi. as well as other banh mi's too. Like they got meatball and pork and stuff like that. It's definitely something to come down to. Of course, for anyone that's from Leslieville or the beaches in Toronto, we have a Cobb's bread over here too. And Cobb's breads are fairly popular across Vancouver, so if you're a Cobb's bread fan, you can get your fix. There, you can see it right there. Yep. Looks like I gotta get my backup battery in. Just give me a minute, folks. Just pulling it out of my pocket. There we go. No problem. Ah, we got plenty of juice. Let's see if the camera holds up. If it turns red and gives me the flashing warning, I'll just give you a heads up and end the video. But we're fairly close to the Brecca Bakery, so should be able to finish over there. I'll just continue on Robson here, passing the local CIBC bank and the Safeway grocery store. And of course, across the street, there's restaurants like Banana Leaf. There goes the number 5 downtown bus. There's Banana Leaf. It's just a Malaysian cafe. It's really, really good. As well as Afghani Kabul restaurant, which is Mr. Cool Down Air, off the hook. And for those people who are aware in Toronto, Chung Chun Rice Dog is also there as well. That's super delicious. So we're at the intersection of Denman Street and Robson. And across the street, of course, you can see Chung Chun Rice Hot Dog. If you aren't aware of what that is, what they do is they take a hot dog, they put it on a stick, and then they coat it in a nice rice batter and fry that. And they have different sauces they put inside, sometimes cheese and all that stuff, and it tastes really good. We'll just wait for the light, and then we'll cross Denman, and then we'll continue up Denman just over to the Brecca Bakery. And we'll stop at the bus stop, just so you have a point of reference as to where I'm ending my video. So we'll cross Denman right now. That guy should have waited. Not something you need to watch out for when you're here in Vancouver, is some drivers. It just has a lot more drivers, I find, that are poor drivers than compared to Toronto or Montreal. And that's just an observation. So just be cautious. So we're at the local Brecca Bakery now. I'm just going to end the video right here. So anyways, folks, thanks for coming, and remember to share, like, and subscribe. And I'll talk to you later. Have a good day.